I'm Alad Gilo, one of the co-founders of Reach. Cold Email Hot Takes is a mini video series in which we talk to inspiring sales leaders about their approach to outbound sales. In this week's episode, we're honored to be joined by Michael Judge. Can you quickly introduce yourself, Michael?
Hi, everyone. Yeah, I'm Mike Judge. I work in the sales mid-market team at Turtle, and we are a digital content format, and we're really helping businesses to engage readers for longer, create content quicker, and improve the performance of all of the content that they create. And excited to be speaking with Elad today.
Thanks. Yeah, we're excited to have you. I think also your guys' focus on kind of personalization, fits really well and kind of our general theme as a company at Reach. So I'm excited to get to speak to you. So let me kick this off. One of the first things that we think about is just how overwhelmed people tend to be when they're getting kind of cold emails, right? And we always think about how can we stand out. So I'm curious if you guys have any guiding principles that you use to help stand out from the crowd when you're reaching out.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think firstly, just trying to make an email quite succinct, not too long, not too wordy is probably one of the guiding principles that we tend to go with. Not trying to send paragraphs of information and text to capture people's information. So quite clear, maybe line breaks throughout the emails if there needs to be different sections, and really trying to lead with pain or some relevance or personalization that is going to hook them initially. In the subject line as well, try and keep that quite short and interesting. Typically say there's different thoughts out there, but we try and sort of do less than 7 words as a subject line so that people have got more of an opportunity to see it when they're on the go, on their phone, on their desktop. They can read the whole subject line. You're not leaving anything to the imagination. And then as well, talking about them, not I, not we, you, your, saw, noticed, things like that. You're taking an interest, you've done your research, you're knowledgeable about, what they're facing. And not trying to push too hard as well. It's maybe it's the first email. You're not trying to, when are you free this week or next? It's is this relevant to you? Right. Interested in learning more? I think things like that. People when they see that, they're more inclined to give you time, not take me off my list straight away, wait to see what's coming next, or even reply straight away. It's less pushy, and I think it's I think that works quite well.
So it sounds like, kind of building a little bit of an information gap so you can kind of pique their interest a little bit. So not kind of obviously telling everything at once, and focusing on their pain, right? I think building, as I heard you say, which I think I agree with a lot, which is, show them that you understand something about them and what they're going through in their role or their company, right? So that it's also building empathy, which is a big part of what we do. So.
What do they say? Show them you know them.
Yeah, no, exactly. I think that's absolutely the way to do it, and also, like not creating too much friction in the email, right? That's a big one. So you touched on it for a second, but I'm curious, how big of a role does personalization play in your outreach? Is it like a big focus, or is it something that comes kind of secondary to just saying, hey, as long as we're touching on their pain, that's the most important piece?
I'd say honestly, it probably is the latter for us at this moment in time. We do, I do personalized emails from time to time, and I know that a lot of people in my team do. Andrew booked 3 meetings yesterday from personalized emails alone. So, it's something that we're all doing. But I think that, with scale and, just the number of companies we're trying to target and the market that we've got, it's just trying to balance it out, right? And I think that we have got sequences that incorporate elements of personalization. Definitely, I think we're probably steering towards that relevance from that automated sequence point of view. But that people have got the flexibility to go off piece a little bit, and and just in the moment, if they see something that's interesting, obviously people are going to you know, personalize an email, but I wouldn't say it's something that's a core part of our outbound strategy in terms of personalized emails. We're very phone focused. We're very sequence heavy.
Yeah.
Multi channels for sure, but you know, it changes all the time. You know, in a startup, we're just trying to work out what's best, and you know, personalization's definitely been a part of that throughout. We've incorporated Salesloft recently into, you know, our tech stack, which is helping to test emails. And I think as we go forward, you know, having sort of sequences with snippets and things like that will definitely be a bigger part of what we do.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. I think, you know, we kind of touched on the fact that it's hard to do this at scale, right? Like personalizing, especially in a meaningful way, when you're really trying to do significant volume, is not a trivial thing. And so you risk also kind of doing bad personalization, which might not be better, right? Which is just kind of what I would call like pretty flat, kind of not very meaningful personalization, or like, oh, I noticed you went to this school or something. That's not, nobody wants to hear that stuff, right? Like it makes sense to personalize if you're actually, you know, if it's relevant and it makes sense. But yeah, it sounds like so focusing on the pain, you know, creating that empathy, and then allowing the reps to kind of add personalization if and when it makes sense. Seems like a reasonable way to go. Of course, if you're dealing with a ton of volume, right?
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Yeah, no, I agree with that. So
luckily, there's you know, there's a few products out there that are solving this problem at the moment. So
yeah, I know of one. Yeah, no, but it is an interesting thing, and then we definitely see a lot of variation from teams, and how they kind of approach this. And some are very strict, like every rep has to do this, they have to do the research, they have to put something personal. Others kind of leave it up to the rep depending on when it makes sense. But no, I think more importantly is being relevant, right? Like that is the key. If you're not relevant, then personalization is not going to take you very far.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I think you mentioned this a little bit before, but you know, at some point we have to ask for a call, or we have to ask for the meeting, we have to push for that. You know, how it sounds like on the first email you aren't pushing for that, so you're kind of creating a little bit of lesser friction to kind of engage them and see if it's relevant to them. Are you actively trying to add value, as it were, to the emails, meaning like you're trying to share resources, you're trying to offer something that would benefit them before you kind of push for that call?
Yeah, I think that's important for sure. You know, in the first email, you need to, like we say, you know, show them you know them, just understanding like generally their situation. If it's not them, you know, maybe you haven't been able to find something about them specifically, their company. Maybe it's not a bigger business, but you know, is it relevant to their role? You know, unfortunately, a lot of job titles can be quite nuanced, and just because somebody does work in marketing doesn't mean they're focused on demand marketing. Right. So you're not always going to get it right. But, you know, on the whole, I think just trying to be relevant to that persona, trying to find out, or just really going for what their pain is, what they might be struggling with. And then, you know, going for the ask, like, as I say, you're going to learn more in the end of the email. And then as you go into sort of second, third email, it's completely fair to, you know, start asking for a call, I believe. But I think with Turtle, we've got the ability to add value in quite a unique way as well, because we've got our content format, which is pretty different, pretty engaging. And we've got quite a lot of thought leadership as well, which can really add value about the pains that we're trying to solve. So
you're sharing, I think, tools and kind of resources, stuff like that.
Yeah, so we've got our Turtle Docs is it's like a digital content format, and we have this animated sort of flappy GIF that we can embed in an email that pops out and can captivate the reader. And you know, we see quite a lot of success from email marketing from our format alone. But I think that in conjunction with, you know, what we're saying is definitely, you know, relevant and adds value to most people. Yeah. Like I say, you're not always going to get it right, you know, just because you're emailing someone who is, you know, your target persona, they might not care. So it's, you know, it's,
yeah, well, it's also a timing thing, right? And it's like, well, we know, and outbound sales in particular, it's timing is probably most of it. You can be reaching out to the perfect person, the perfect role, you know, who very much understands the problem, but if they're not in buying mode in that moment, or, for what a series of reasons from within the company, it's not a good time, then it doesn't matter, right? So
that's why that adding value over time is good as well, because I mean, like a one step email with all of the information. This is what we do. This is who we are. When are you free for a call? That might get missed, but you break that up into bite-sized chunks over the period of sort of 10 days, 4 emails, adding value maybe the first few times, then asking for the call.
Yeah.
You're going to get more of an opportunity to book the meeting because you're getting in front of them for longer, and they've got less of an opportunity to miss it. So
you show them that you're more of an expert and you're more authoritative, right? Which is important. So speaking of sequences and kind of touch points, I'm wondering if you found, at least in your specific sector, like is there an optimal number of touch points that you believe in? Some people will have pretty fixed number, let's say in the span of 30 days or 15 days, whatever the case may be. Others say, like it's heavy in the first time, and then we kind of move them to nurturing, and we'll keep touching to forever. What is your take on
that? So we have a range of sequences, really. We have a real range. So I haven't really found out the optimum number. I'd love to know what that is.
That's why I'm asking you. You got to tell me.
That some people say 16, some people say 30. I think generally ours incorporate, specifically for the SDR team, ours incorporate sort of 3 to 4 emails, similar number of calls, similar number of LinkedIn touches. So maybe about 12 touches over the period of a few weeks. We have some longer streams that are more marketing led, that do focus on adding value over time. And these are more emails once every week that people are put into as well. And then the SDRs have got the opportunity to call up and call up these people based on engagement in between that. But I think getting that right is definitely a challenge. But I think the most important thing is just making sure that when you are emailing someone, it's okay to maybe, I wonder if you caught my last email, or any thoughts. Like, it's okay to do that maybe once or twice. But if you're then resorting to, did you catch my last email? Any thoughts? Would love to hear you. Like, then you're not really doing anything, and you might as well stop.
Yeah.
And you might as well create a new email.
Yeah.
Because I think by this point, it's probably just getting to the annoying phase.
Right. Do you believe in kind of having a breakup email after the end of your sequence?
Not for someone that I haven't spoken to. I think if we've had a conversation and, maybe we've had a meeting, and it wouldn't be a complete, it's just, maybe this isn't top of mind right now. Right. I'll connect with you in sort of 4 or 5 months sort of thing. But for a cold email, that isn't something that I do, because when I get them, I find that very peculiar.
Yeah, no, it's true. I think but keeping it open, I think is an important piece, right? Where you're saying like, it sounds like timing isn't right, which is
I think.
But when you're saying, I guess when you haven't had a conversation with somebody and you're kind of saying timing isn't right, it's kind of like, well, maybe we weren't interested in the first place. Why are we talking about timing? It's kind of disingenuous in a way.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen, there's some breakup emails I've seen that I like, and there's some that I think are a little bit more strange than others, I think. So I think obviously, again, it depends on what you say, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Like if it's the timing isn't right, maybe this isn't relevant, I'll circle back in a few months, there's nothing wrong with that. But if it's a bit more, to the heart, and it's actually a bit more like, notice you haven't replied, you must be busy, things like that, a bit different.
Yeah, I know what you mean. So I think I know how you're going to answer this one, but I'm curious. We're not necessarily pushing for a call on that first email, and it sounds like you're really pushing to start a conversation. But are you still kind of pitching your product in the first email, in the sense that are you, and not just talking about their pain, but are you focusing on kind of what Turtle can do for the lead?
Yeah, a little bit. I think, introduction, maybe the first line, first couple of lines, about them, maybe what their challenges are. Like, I speak to marketers, content marketers every day. Typically I hear X, Y, Z, something like that. And then, going into a bit about Turtle and how we might be able to help that, what we've done with other marketers, other software businesses. Quite succinct, not going into all of the features, just quite high level around the challenges that we outlined at the start.
Yeah.
And then from there, really, maybe embedding a nice Turtle document, and then just going for the ask at the end, which can be quite light, like would you like more information? Is this relevant? Interested in learning more at a better time?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Oh, absolutely. Are you using social proof in your outreach? Is that a big part of the tactic? Like referencing kind of other companies are benefiting as a way to kind of not only show the value that you're able to provide, but also kind of name dropping at the same time.
I think in the enterprise space, we definitely do a lot of that. It becomes a bit more of a challenge in the mid market because some businesses, they probably might not have heard of the other business, or but I think in the enterprise space, and the sequences that we're doing there, we're definitely referencing similar customers and big players and our bigger customers, and we've got customers like Amazon, Citi, Cisco. There's some big names to mention in different industries. So that is something that we do.
Nice. Well, this has been super interesting, Michael. Thanks so much for joining me and giving us these insights into how you guys are working. Lots of great tips and information. So thanks so much. We'll look forward to following you on LinkedIn and getting more of your tips going forward.
Yeah, it was great to speak to you, Elad, and thanks for having me.